how the world's greatest empire weaponized a species. Their story begins not in Rome, but in the rugged mountains of Epirus in ancient Greece. Here lived a fierce tribe known as the Molossians. They bred a legendary dog, the Molossian Hound, renowned throughout the ancient world. These were not pets, they were essential guardians, capable of defending livestock from wolves and bears. They were colossal, weighing well over 150 pounds, with powerful jaws that could crush bone. Even Alexander the Great was said to own a valiant Molossian hound named Ferocious, who fought by his side. The reputation of these dogs spread. When the ever-expanding Roman Republic clashed with the Greek kingdoms, they didn't just conquer lands and armies, they discovered a biological asset. They saw the raw power of the Molossian hound, and in true Roman fashion, decided they could perfect it. The Romans were engineers of empire, and they approached dog breeding with the same ruthless pragmatism. They established state-run kennels, embarking on a selective breeding program to enhance the traits they valued most: size, strength, loyalty, and controlled ferocity. They weren't just breeding dogs, they were forging a bloodline. Roman agricultural writers like Columella and Varro wrote extensively about choosing breeding stock. They distinguished between different types of dogs. While the Villitacci were bred to be vigilant and protective guardians of the homestead, the Pugnaces were bred for one purpose: war. They were the canine equivalent of the Praetorian Guard, the elite of the elite. A dog's loyalty is natural. A war dog's loyalty is forged in a crucible. From puppyhood, these animals were subjected to a brutal desensitization process. They were raised amidst the noise and chaos of a military camp, teaching them to remain unfazed by the screams of battle. Training was relentless. They were taught to obey the commands of a single handler or mansuarius, ensuring their loyalty on the battlefield was absolute. They were trained to attack weak points, limbs, throats, and even the legs of horses to topple cavalry. This wasn't about playing fetch, it was about conditioning a predator to kill on command. To maximize their effectiveness and survivability, the Romans equipped their war canines for battle. Their most iconic piece of gear was the mellium, a large leather collar, often fitted with sharp metal spikes and blades. It served a dual purpose, protecting the dog's vulnerable neck from attack and turning the dog itself into a slashing, tearing weapon in close quarters. Some elite units were even fitted with a lorica, a type of leather or scale armor similar to what the legionaries wore. This protected their torso from arrows and sword strikes, allowing them to barrel into enemy lines with near impunity. They weren't just dogs anymore. They were living battering rams. On the battlefield, the war dogs were primarily used as shock troops. Deployed in large packs, often called a Canis cohort, they would be unleashed as the opening salvo of a battle. Their objective was simple: create chaos. A solid shield wall was the bedrock of ancient warfare, but it was designed to stop men, not a 170-pound missile of muscle and teeth attacking at knee level. The dogs would slam into shields, tear at exposed limbs, and sow panic and disorder in the enemy's front rank. This initial disruption was often all the opening the disciplined Roman infantry needed to surge forward and shatter the enemy line. But their value didn't end when the battle was over. The Roman war machine was constantly on the move, deep in hostile territory. At night, the fortified castra was their lifeline. The war dogs were the ultimate sentries. Their hearing and sense of smell were infinitely superior to a human's. They could detect an enemy ambush or a stealthy intruder long before any human guard. They were the living, breathing alarm system of the Roman army, and countless legions owed their lives to the vigilance of their canine guardians. Perhaps their most powerful role was as an instrument of terror. Ancient historical accounts from writers like Pliny the Elder attest to the sheer psychological impact of these animals. Imagine being a tribal warrior preparing to defend your home. The night before the battle, you don't hear war horns. You hear the baying of hundreds of monstrous dogs, a promise of the savage death that awaits you. This was psychological warfare at its most primal. The Romans understood that breaking an enemy's will to fight was as important as breaking their battle lines. The specter of the war dog, this snarling, armored beast, could do just that before a single sword was ever drawn. So where did they go? As Roman military tactics evolved, the role of the war dog began to diminish. The rise of heavy cavalry and more sophisticated formations made a wave of dogs less effective as a shock tactic. Furthermore, maintaining and training large cohorts of specialized dogs was incredibly expensive and logistically demanding for an empire that was becoming increasingly overstretched. The war dog wasn't defeated, it was simply rendered obsolete by the changing face of war. But their legacy, their bloodline, never truly vanished. The genetic blueprint of the Roman Canis Molossus echoes through the centuries, living on in the powerful Mastiff-type breeds we know today. The Cane Corso of Italy, the powerful Rottweiler, the gentle giant Saint Bernard, all share a common ancient ancestor that once charged across the battlefields of Gaul and Britannia. They may no longer wear spiked collars and armor, but the strength, loyalty, and protective instinct of their Roman ancestors endures in their very DNA. The Roman war dog was a testament to the empire's ingenuity and its will to dominate every aspect of warfare. They were more than animals. They were legionaries in their own right, loyal, fearless, and terrifying, a living, breathing weapon that helped forge one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. So what do you think? Which modern dog breed do you believe would make the best Roman war dog today? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this look into ancient military history, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more stories from the legacy of Rome. Thanks for watching.
If you love history, legends, and great mysteries, hit that subscribe button and join our journey into the past.